Hello everyone. So we have discussed about graphite to diamond transformation induced by shock waves in the last lecture. So we will be continuing this discussion. Especially we will talk about today about the melting and solidification associated with shock wave. We know about this melting for most of the materials. So we know that delta V is greater than 0. That means the solid to liquid, that melting in a volume of solid is less than volume of liquid. So this is liquid. And so in the case of delta V greater than 0, delta S entropy change is greater than 0, then so this will give us that melting temperature. I will write Tm for melting temperature will increase with increase in pressure. So it happens because when pressure will increase, this will restrict the positive volume change, positive volume change. That means delta V greater than 0 associated with melting. So which means pressure, if pressure increases, melting temperature will increase because that positive volume change will be restricted. But there are exceptions to this. That means delta V may be negative in melting. Very common example is ice to water. We know that volume of ice is higher than volume of water, which is which is why this is delta V is less than 0, or in that case the melting temperature will decrease with increase in pressure. So for this case melting temperature will decrease. So there are other examples. Other examples are plutonium and silicon. So these two materials also upon melting, so delta V is smaller than 0. We will talk about the materials with dP dt is greater than 0 and where delta V is greater than 0 and delta S is greater than 0. So in this case, when the temperature will increase, it means the pressure will increase, and pressure will increase, that means that will oppose positive volume change. So it seems that if T is increases, then melting more difficult, becoming difficult, and because it opposes the positive volume change, and still such materials melt at a high temperature, sufficiently high temperature. So now we will discuss with a PVT surface about the melting and solidification, pressure, volume, temperature, surface. So here we will draw this, the pressure volume axis. That axis is our this is on vertical axis the pressure, and volume here, and temperature on this side. So we can draw a parallel line to the volume axis, and then we can show that at a particular volume this line signifies, these two lines actually signifies the mixed phase region. This is mixed phase. Mixed phase means in between liquid and solid. So this side, on the left hand side will have liquid, and we'll have solid this side. So this is in 3-dimensional. I try to imagine this. So, and in between these on this surface, in between these two lines, this will be mixed phase of both solid and liquid. Now we will discuss this, what will happen if it is at low temperature. So let's assume that at a low temperature, low T. So at low temperature, so what will happen is shock compression. If we apply at low temperature, this that Rankine-Huguenot adiabate. So this line is, we can call Rankine-Huguenot adiabate, RH adiabate, will not intersect this mixed phase region. So let's say we can call them, this line is AD. So low temperature, this is A and B. And then if we talk about little higher temperatures, so what will happen is this will intersect the mixed phase region, and this will melt. So let's assume that we can write it as C D E F. So we can join this line. So it's an intermediate temperature. Intermediate temperature. So intermediate means it's high, but we will show another one which is even higher. So the CDEF line shows that there is melting. The adiabate goes through the mixed phase region that penetrates the liquid and solid region. And if it is at high temperatures, so you will draw a line parallel to the temperature axis. So let's say this is the point, starting point. So what will happen at very high temperatures, high T, so we can see that ZHI line, we will draw it now. So if we exert shock pressures, so what will happen is it will cross here and it will go like this. So this is solidification. So at high temperatures, so this I would write solidification. Oh, sorry, I did not write this. So this is G, H will be this point, H and I. So that represents the solidification. And for the intermediate temperature, we showed this line, this had the melting here and melting, and the low temperature line, it's remain in the solid region, remain solid region. So this is how the solidification and melting looked like in a PVT surface, pressure, volume, temperature surface. Probably I forgot to tell that this point G, the point G is in the atmospheric pressure. in the atmospheric pressure. And if we again come back to these two lines which define the mixed phase region, that you can see that the dP dt is greater than 0. So that means the transformation pressure Pm will increase with time. So this is you can see that from these thickened lines, the parallel curves. That means the transformation pressure is increasing. Transformation means from liquid solid to liquid. Transformation pressure is increasing. The pressure on the vertical axis, and T is from the right to left. So that is increasing. Just important to mention that the melting temperature of many materials under shock loading significantly increases significantly. For example, the melting temperature of lead Pb, the melting temperature of lead Pb is at a high pressure shock after shock loading, let's say high pressure, high P, this corresponds to let's say 28 gigapascal, and will be equal to approximately equal to 3 times of melting temperature at ambient pressure. Similarly, for other materials as well, the melting temperature under shock loading at high pressure, it will be very high. So far what we have discussed is phase transformation associated with compressive shock wave. So now there can be some transformation which is induced by tensile waves, not compressive wave. So for example, this is in the heading, you can see that this is by tensile wave. So for example, the martensitic transformation, we write martensitic transformation of some material. Martensitic transformation, as you know, is a diffusionless transformation. So for example, iron nickel carbon, then iron manganese nickel. So these materials have transformation volume, positive volume change will give us the phase transformation. So for some of these materials, this delta V is almost equal to 4%, positive 4%. So in that case tensile wave can induce the phase transformation, that martensitic transformation in the case of these materials. As we have already discussed maybe a few times, that tensile wave can be produced by reflection of compressive wave at the free surface. So if you have a free surface and your compressive wave will go and then will come back, and that will be probably a tensile wave. So this is, I will write Fs is free surface. So tensile wave can be generated reflection of compressive shock waves at a free surface. I would just write reflection at free surface. Okay. So for these materials, especially gamma phase, which is FCC, can be transformed to alpha phase, which is BCC, which is a that means a positive volume change. And opposite transformation can also happen, opposite transformation or inverse transformation. So that means if the material is already the phase transformation happened to alpha phase, then alpha to gamma phase transformation can happen under compressive wave. Compressive wave. Why it is compressive wave? Because delta V in this case will be less than 0. Probably delta V will be again is close to -4%. The volume change is negative here. So we will discuss now about the chemical reactions. So as you know that there are some synthetic reactions or decomposition reaction can happen under the shock loading. So basically there are two types, one is synthesis, one is decomposition. So what we can see is the synthesis reaction is like XA plus YB will be AX BY, where A and B can be element or compound. And then decomposition is, if it is a compound AXBY, it can decompose into XAYB, just the reverse. For mixtures of powders, suppose we are having some synthesis under shock wave. So the mixtures of powders are of different compositions. Different compositions. Can react and produce a new component, new compound. And usually in these case of the reactions, usually exothermically reacting powders are preferred. So these reactions produce energy, and high temperature is produced at the powder interface, and high temperature produced at powder interface. Due to these reactions. We will now see some examples of these synthetic and decomposition reactions. So as we discussed, these exothermic reactions can be triggered by shock waves. So some example of reactions that can be caused by shock wave is titanium carbide, titanium boride, then nickel aluminum compound, so nickel aluminide, so why we are writing X and Y here? Because that can be different compositions. It can be nickel aluminum, it can be nickel NiAl3, or it can be Ni2Al3, and then even it can be Ni3Al. So these are the different compounds it can form. So that's why we are writing X and Y. And also there can be niobium and aluminum reaction. So that is similar to nickel aluminide, and the niobium and silicon can react together. So similarly, for decomposition reaction, there are some examples of decomposition reaction. Copper, and then lead oxide, which can take a shape like this, sorry, this like composition like this, and then iron oxide O4, and then this is another compound producing alumina and silicon oxide. Now the important question is whether these reactions will be initiated by these shock waves, or it will be completed by shock waves. So when the pulse length of the shock wave or pulse is crossing the material, so sometimes it can start just initiate the reaction, and after crossing of the shock wave the reaction can be completed, or sometimes it can be just left as it is, or that means partially completed. So we will see three different cases here. So first one is fully reacted within the pulse duration. Within the pulse duration. The second one is partially reacted. Within pulse duration. And the third one is reaction completed after pulse passes. Reaction completed after the passage of pulse. So what we are doing here is, let's assume we are talking about XA plus YB is equal to AX BY, the reaction. So A we are showing like this with blue color, and the B particles or powders we are showing with the green circles, and B is written inside, and then AB is red color we are showing in this. And there are three cases. So if you see these whatever we have in the below picture, it has the pulse pressure and X in the X direction. So X P pulse. These are three different cases. So this rectangle shows the pulse, that pressure on the vertical direction, and then it is moving from left to right. So we can understand this moving from left to right. In all the three cases it is moving from left to right. Here also it is moving from left to right. So these are the pulse shape for the second case, and for the third case these are the pulse shape. So in here also, in the first case, if you now see here that this line I am drawing here, so this is the point where the pulse shape is now on the front of the pulse actually, shock front, and then right hand of the shock front, that means which is still undisturbed, that means this portion, let's say I am drawing some shades here. So this portion is undisturbed and only we can see A and B particles of powders, and then after it crosses the shock front reaches this portion, then the left side, that means left side of the shock front, that means the portion within the pulse duration, if you can see that some AB particle are forming here, that means the reaction started, and you can see that if you go a little behind, and that means within the shock pulse itself, and there are all the particles are converted to AB compound, and so that means that's what the fully reacted within the pulse duration. In the second case, so if you see the shock front is this one, and then the right hand side material is undisturbed, and within the shock front, that means this shock front and the back part of the shock pulse. So if you see, it is partially reacted, some reaction happen, partial reaction happens, and these are the products, that means the compounds AB. And even after the passes, you see there are few particles are converted to AB, or probably we can probably draw a little more. It was not very clear, so we can draw one or two more here. So this is in the red direction, red color. So so it is, but still it is not completed. Even after passing the pulse, still the reaction is not completed. And in the third case, if you see, this is the shock front, and then on the right hand side this is undisturbed region, and then in the back side of the shock front here, and then this is the shock first shock front. So that means this part is our pulse duration. You can see that the red color ones, these are the some compounds formed, and here if you see, after this, after the crossing of the pulse, in these row we have only two, let's say, particles completely reacted, but some powders are unreacted powders are still there, for example this one and this one. But after some time all the particles will be converted to or transformed to compound AB. So this is the three types of reactions, chemical reactions that can happen under shock loading. We want to show you something here. If we use porous materials, that means let's say porous materials, that helps initiating the helps initiating reactions. Initiating reactions because the energy level is much higher, because energy much higher. How the energy is much higher? Because in an earlier lecture we got to know that the energy, the equations is look like this. E is the internal energy per unit mass, so P plus P naught V naught minus V. So where you know that this is your, if it is this shock front, and then you know this is the velocity US, it is advancing, and then what is happening is rho naught, P naught, E naught, or even we can write V naught. These are the parameters on in the undisturbed region. So behind the shock front, these parameters will be, let's say, rho, P, V and E. So now we know for powder, for porous materials, for porous material, rho naught is low, that means V naught is high. So if V naught is high, that means our energy is high, so if the energy is high, that means this will lead us, sorry, this so this energy will lead us high temperatures, and interparticle melting can be reached. So interparticle particle melting can be reached. So and then that means it can initiate the reaction. So what we stated earlier, that porous materials helps initiating the reaction more than the solid material. So just to mention that some of these researchers, what they did is they just modified these equations, V naught by V plus with a energy reaction term, energy of reaction, this term is. So this what it shows is that if you draw the Hugenoid curve like pressure and y-axis and specific volume in the x-axis, so what will happen for a solid material, for a solid material, I will write S for solid material, this will look like this, and if you talk about powder, so it will look like this. So if you add the energy of reaction term, that means that delta Q term, so what will happen, this shock Hugenoid will shift to the right, so that this curve shows powder plus the reaction time. So that means some of the researchers, probably the first one is are Bosch, Low, and another publication Yu and Mears. They have they performed a simple thermodynamic treatment for shock compression, and they added these terms. And also for geological materials, so the shock compression can be used to simulate simulate high pressure for let's say for impact of meteorites impact is a now many people are working on it. So for this, and also for another one is for the study of center of art. So for these studies, so shock compression can be used, and that is if you are talking about geological material. So with that, so we will end today's lecture. So we have discussed about shock wave induced phase transformations. So we have discussed some examples of it, like graphite to diamond or iron transformations from one phase to other under shock loading. And here we discussed today about the solidification and melting induced by shock wave, and then other chemical reactions. So this is the end of this chapter, phase transformation. So in the next chapter we will discuss about the experimental techniques those techniques which are used for used to produce dynamic deformation, like the Split-Hopkinson pressure bar. We already discussed about that experimental technique. So we will discuss some more techniques in the next lecture. Thank you.